This is Jamie Drummond for Good Food Revolution. I am here with Andrew Tierney, who is joining us all the way from the Barossa, from Torbreck. How are you today, sir?
Great to see you, Jamie. Pleasure to be here in Toronto.
Fantastic. Now, I don't get nearly enough of a chance to taste Torbreck wines, so very happy to be tasting them at lunch today. How long have you been with Torbreck for?
Nearly 11 years.
And in what kind of capacity?
I look after all the global business for Torbreck and been travelling the world for a long time, even before that with Torbreck, but certainly with Torbreck for that period.
Now, Torbreck really came to, I guess they came to fame, be back in, when was it Robert Parker rated you really, really highly as one of the top wineries in the world?
Really from the get-go. I mean, now the 95 Runrig was the first wine released, and from memory, I think it scored 99 points.
Bloody hell, that's quite something.
Yeah.
And the winery has come on leaps and bounds, and you now have an old friend of Good Food Revolution, Ian Hongel, who was latterly at Peter Lehman. He is now taken the reins at the winery.
He's the chief winemaker of Torbreck. He joined us in January 2017. He's doing a great job continuing the legacy of making terrific wine from Old Vine, Barossa, Grenache, Shiraz, Mourvedre, and a small amount of Roussanne, Marsanne and Viognier.
So how have you seen the wine style evolve since Ian came on board?
I think really with our whites they've become a little bit more fresh and a little bit more focused, and you have to work really hard in the Barossa to retain natural acidity.
Especially with those varietals,
yeah,
right?
Especially with those varietals. I mean, they're thick-skinned varietals, they're later pick ripening, so you need that in a warm climate. And then I think with Shiraz and Grenache, it's pretty much a lot of the things we were continuing to do, but I think, not from my standpoint, but a lot of the journalists they're just seeing the wines a little bit more finer, perhaps a little bit more, to use a cricketing term, line and length in the wines.
Right, yeah.
But you know, still the plushness, the richness, the intensity of those old vines, that doesn't change, and our winemaking is still the same.
I know something that bemuses punters is the names of the various wines. I just wondered if you wouldn't mind giving me a small breakdown of where all of those names come from.
Well, that would take a while, but there's a number of wines that have Scottish names, Scottish colloquialisms. So, for instance, Runrig, Torbreck, first of all, is actually named after a forest south in Inverness. Runrig is the way that the Highland clansmen would divide property, and the Runrig wine is a assemblage wine of divided properties in the Barossa Valley, 6 individual vineyards between 95 and 165 years old. We have a wine called the Factor, which is named after a person that would look after a Highland estate. The Factor is a wine at Torbreck which is big and bold and rich and quite masculine in style.
Yes, yeah.
We have a wine called the Steading, which is a collection of an assemblage wine of Grenache, Shiraz, Mourvedre, and on a Highland estate, the Steading is a collection of houses and barns. So a lot of the wines have a colloquialism to Scotland, but also a similarity in what we're trying to achieve in relation to a story.
Now, using all of these Rhone varietals, how many similarities are there with the Torbreck wines alongside the wines of the Rhone? I mean, the Barossa is obviously an entirely different environment.
Of course. So first and foremost, I want to put out there that our wines are absolutely Barossan,
yes,
100%.
Yeah.
But we draw some inspiration from the wines of the Rhone. You know, the power, the richness, the intensity, but also restraint. And that's what we're trying to do with our wines. And of course, we believe that especially the Southern Rhone is quite akin in relation to its climatic conditions, like the Barossa. Soils are completely different. We don't have yellow roulette. We have sand, and we have clay, and we have red Barossa loam, etc. But the wines in relation to style, they can look quite similar when they're blind tasted against one another, especially Grenache. Shiraz is a little bit different. Shiraz is obviously from the north, from Côte-Rôtie and Hermitage, and Saint-Joseph. It's a little bit cooler, but Barossa Shiraz, if you talk to punters around the world, wine critics, they're saying that Barossa Shiraz is one of the most heralded varieties of Shiraz in the world. So the inspiration is drawn from the Rhone, but the styles are uniquely Barossa.
Now, if my memory serves me well, these are quite big and bold wines for the most part.
They are, but they have restraint. They're big and bold wines because they're wines indicative to the region. You're not making wines in the Barossa Valley that are, of weight of Pinot Noir. We have a Grenache today that you'll taste, the 2017 Hillside Vineyard Grenache, first planted in 1949, and that has weight like Pinot Noir, but it still has lots of richness and texture. That's the style of wines that we're producing, and why are they like that? Because of the climate, because of the soils, because of very low yields and old vines with thick skins and high concentration. But the wines actually will last in the cellar for 20, 30, 40 years.
I was about to ask that question.
Yeah. So they're going to be bold wines that will outlive generations.
Well, we're looking forward to lunch today. Thank you very much for joining us at Good Food Revolution.
Great to see you, Jamie. Thanks.
Bye for now.
Bye.